Once upon a time, there was a Chow Chow who loved nothing more than splashing in puddles. One day, a big rainstorm came to town, and the Chow Chow was so excited that he could finally play in a giant puddle. But he wasn't the only one who wanted to play. A ginger cat also wanted to get in the puddle, but she had a different idea of how to do it. After the rain, a giant puddle shimmered in the yard. The cat carefully tiptoed around it. The Chow Chow, however, dove right in, splashing water everywhere. His thick, fluffy coat soaked up all the water, and he was loving every minute of it. He shook himself off and barked happily. The cat hissed at the mess he made, but she had to admit that he was having fun. Maybe she could find a way to enjoy the puddle too. As she watched the Chow Chow play, an idea popped into her head. She would wait until the dog was exhausted, and then surprise him by jumping into the puddle and splashing him with all her might. She waited and waited, and finally the dog flopped down on the ground, panting heavily. "This is my chance," thought the cat. She crept closer and closer, and just as she was about to make her move, the dog suddenly sat up and looked at her. The cat froze. Had he seen through her plan? Was he just resting? The cat wasn't sure, but she didn't want to take any chances. She turned tail and ran as fast as she could away from the yard and the big puddle. But the Chow Chow was faster than she was, and soon he was right behind her. The cat led him on a merry chase through the garden, over bushes and under trees, and the whole time the Chow Chow kept barking at her playfully. Finally, the cat got away, and she was so tired that she decided to take a nap in a patch of warm sunlight. As she closed her eyes, she could still hear the Chow Chow barking and splashing in the puddle. Suddenly, she felt something wet and cold on her fur, and she opened her eyes to see a big fat frog sitting on her head. The cat screamed and tried to shake the frog off, but it just sat there and croaked loudly. At that moment, the Chow Chow came bounding over, and when he saw the frog, he barked furiously and tried to chase it away. The frog hopped off the cat and onto the ground, and the two animals stared at each other for a moment. Then the Chow Chow did something unexpected. He picked up the frog gently in his mouth and walked over to the big puddle. He dipped his nose in the water and let out a loud bark. And then he did something even more surprising. He spit the frog back onto the land and barked again. The cat was confused, but before she could figure out what the dog was trying to do, the frog hopped into the puddle and disappeared. The cat and the Chow Chow watched as the water rippled and the frog swam around happily. Then the cat noticed something strange. There were lots of little tadpoles swimming around in the puddle, and they were all looking for their mama. The cat understood what the Chow Chow had done. He had saved the baby frogs by putting them back in the water, and she had to admit that was pretty cool. The cat was so impressed with the Chow Chow that she decided to be friends with him, and maybe, just maybe, she would even let him splash her with some water in the puddle. The two animals spent the rest of the day playing in the yard. The Chow Chow chased butterflies, and the cat caught bugs, and when they got tired, they lay down in the grass and watched the clouds float by. They were just two happy animals, enjoying a perfect summer day. As the sun began to set, the cat knew it was time to go inside. She had a cozy bed waiting for her, and a bowl of fresh milk. The Chow Chow wanted to stay in the yard and keep playing, but he knew he had to go inside too. He was a good boy, and he knew his place. The two animals walked side by side towards the house, and the cat couldn't help but smile. She was glad she had made friends with the Chow Chow. He was a loyal, brave, and friendly dog, and she was lucky to have him as a pal. As they got closer to the house, the cat could hear the sound of her favorite song. It was the song the little girl in the house sang every night before bedtime. The cat loved that song, and she couldn't wait to tell the Chow Chow all about it. The two animals reached the door, and the cat meowed loudly to let the family know she was there. The door opened and the little girl ran out. She scooped the cat up in her arms and hugged her tightly. Then she turned to the Chow Chow and scratched him behind the ears. The dog barked happily and wagged his tail furiously. The little girl had a big smile on her face. She loved her furry friends very much, and she was so glad they were in her life. The cat snuggled up to the little girl and purred loudly. She was tired from her day of playing, and she couldn't wait to go inside and curl up on her favorite blanket. The Chow Chow licked the little girl's hand and then followed her into the house. He knew he wasn't allowed on the furniture, so he went to his dog bed in the corner and curled up for the night. As the little girl got ready for bed, she couldn't help but smile. She was so lucky to have such wonderful pets. They brought her so much joy and happiness, and she knew she loved them more than anything in the world. The end.